Okay, so I'm going to show you how to take some regular basic Illustrator shapes and then to go ahead and inflate them using this 3D materials tab thing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. Well, whatever, I'll just show you where it is to open it. All right, so if you want to follow along with this file, this one I have it inflated, and I'm going to show you how to create this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just take advantage of my artboard, and I'm going to move all this stuff over here. I'm going to move everything over there so that way I haven't lost it. I can go ahead and still see it. And then over here I have the basic things that I created in the beginning. All right, so this is text. You can see right here that, let me go ahead and zoom in. This is text. Here's the font style. I can still at this point change it, right? I can change the size, all that good stuff. I did add a little stroke around it. So I'm gonna need to go ahead, if you're using text, you need to create outlines. So get your text, how you want it to look, kind of final version. And what you can do, when I'm working with something where I then I'm gonna go back, where I'm doing a step that I can't really get rid of, I like to create duplicates. Like use your artboard. You have all this space around here, so just alt drag, and you can set this over here like there's my original, okay? I'm not gonna mess with that. And then here, I'm gonna go ahead and tweak this. And I actually already decided I want a different color for the text because it wasn't showing up very well. All right, and so I have my one back here that I can go back to and I can tweak. Let me go ahead and change it. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and create outlines. So right click, create outlines. There's also a shortcut, Shift Control O, but right click is super easy, create outlines. And then I've created outlines for the text, but the stroke, I don't know if you have to do this, but let's just go ahead and do it anyway. Object, path, outline stroke to make the stroke into a shape. Yeah, you know what? I think you do because it's still a stroke. So I'm going to make the stroke into a shape as well by selecting the object, because right now you see it has a stroke on it, and I can still change the size of the stroke. Object, path, outline stroke. All right, and then that turns that into a shape. So you can see right now I have two different shapes that are grouped together. All right, this right here, this was just a straight line, like so. Let's see, in my stroke panel, I changed the end to make it like rounded. So the default I think is like this straight edge. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see. So it's kind of this straight, I changed the cap like so. And then I also went up here to Effect, Distort, and I did Zigzag. And I did Smooth. And you can change the height of your little wiggle, and you can change how many segments. And once you have something you like, you're gonna say okay, and then you're going to expand it. So I'm gonna say Object, Expand Appearance. Okay, Object, Expand Appearance. Oops, I'm in this other tool. And then same thing with this one, because it's still a stroke, I want to turn this into a shape. I'm going to say Object, Path, Outline Stroke. Object, Path, Outline Stroke. All right, and now this is a shape that I can work with. These ones are already shapes. This was already a shape, but just in case you had any strokes or things like that, that's how you transform them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll delete this, and I'll just use this one now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move all these things over here onto my artboard. And I'm going to inflate them, do the fun part. All right, so I'll do my squiggle first. Actually, I'll do this one here. I'm gonna go ahead and select the object, and then I need to open up this window. So go ahead and look up here if you stopped paying attention. Window, and for some reason, this 3D one, if the first thing you see is like appearance, for some reason, when I usually open this, it always seems to be like scrolled like so. So go ahead and click up. It's the very top one. It says 3D and materials. So that's just under window, 3D and materials. And again, if you're not seeing it on your list, you probably need to scroll up or down. So this is the first thing in the list. All right, and then that's going to open this other menu. I actually already had it open. So this is what it looks like, and nothing's happening yet, okay? So you need to click on Object. So we're gonna go first to Object. Right here. So I'm going to click on Object, and then there's these other things, and we'll talk about them later, but today we're just going to do the Inflate. So object inflate, there's a little balloon there to help you remember what it does. I'm going to click inflate and boom, the magic has already started to happen. I saw it recommended that you do inflate both sides, so that way if you want to rotate things around, it's not like a flat bottom. There might be other scenarios where you do want it to have a flat bottom where only the top is inflated, but I'm going to go ahead and click inflate both sides. I already have the volume pumped up to 100%, but if for some reason you wanted it to be less inflated, you could dial it down. You could see that got a little bit more shallow looking. So I'm going to pump that up to 100%. And if you want to rotate it around, here is where you could do that. If you keep scrolling to the bottom, there's some rotation things. You can also pick this up and rotate it, but it seems a little render intensive. And I feel like there's a little bit of a lag time. So you can see I've rotated that, and I'm just going to hit undo because I don't actually want to rotate it. All right, and then the next tab I'm going to go to is materials. And materials, the default material, if I scroll up here, is just this kind of like shiny plastic or balloon material. So I'm going to keep it on the default one, and then I'm going to scroll down. There's some other ones here. I'm actually going to go to this menu here, properties. I always keep forgetting, and I try and scroll, and then I realize, oh no, it's its own menu. Whoopsies. So I'm going to scroll down here. The roughness, I feel like this kind of impacts how much light is bouncing off of it. I found that if I do 0.25 for both of these settings, that seems to work pretty well in terms of the shininess. So I like doing 0.25, 0.25. And then if you want to play around with the lighting, you do not have to, but there is a lighting tab here, and you can play around with, you know, how soft the light is, the height of the light, if you want to bring it down so the height is a little bit, the light is a little bit closer. I'm just actually going to leave it at the default, which I think was 45. You can play with the rotation. You can see that's moving my shadows around. Maybe I'll just do 125. That's an easy number to remember. Great, I'm happy, I'm done. The last thing I'm going to do is right here, it says render. And then that's going to give me like really what it's going to look like, because this is kind of just a preview. So I'm going to render it. By the way, before you open this menu, forgot to mention, it's probably a good time to save your work in case it crashes your computer. All right, so I've done that one. Yeah, right? I've done that one, and I can move on to the next object now. So let's say I had like 3 of these, and I want them kind of to all be the same. I can also group objects, and this will work on a group of objects. So I'm going to go ahead and take these 3 objects, and actually I will make one of these. That same pinky purple, whatever color that was. Was that it? Sure. All right, so I'm going to show you that this little group here, they're all different. Right-click group, and I can still work in the 3D panel. So again, object first, then I go to inflate. Okay, inflate both sides. If you want to rotate it, you can. I'm going to go here to the materials, and I like for this base properties, I found 0.25 and 0.25 seem to work really well. And then my lighting, I'm actually going to leave this. Okay? And then again, when I'm happy with it, I'm going to render this. So I want you to see that you can also do multiple objects at once if they're grouped. They have to be grouped. I'll go ahead and render that, and then yay, that's finished. I think this already is a group. Let's just double check. Yep, it's a group. So let me go ahead and inflate my text. Object, inflate. Inflate both sides. I'm not going to rotate it or anything. I'm just going to change my material roughness to 0.25, my metallic to 0.25, and I'm not going to play with my lighting. I'll just go ahead and render it. And then I do want to show you that there are some other materials if you want to play with. So on this little squiggle, I'm going to do like a gold squiggle. So this time when I inflate it, go ahead and inflate that. I'm going to go to my materials, and I'll try a different material. Instead of the basic kind of just shiny plastic, I'll go here. Ooh, there's a fine leather. Do this fine leather. And you can see that these ones, they trump the color that you have selected, right? The material has a built-in color. So I'm going to do maybe gold if you want a little gold. Great. Love it. It looks like there is some stuff maybe that you can, let's see. Let's see if we can make this like a A pink. Ooh, so fun. It like tints it somehow, yeah.
What it probably does is those are preset values where like it'll change everything to try to fit that kind of color, and then you can change those values again.
Exactly.
You could probably get the gold color from the basic thing if you change all the settings to match it.
It does have a little bit of texture too, though, so that's the only thing. See how it has this like pit depth, color variation, etc. So there's all these settings here that I don't actually think were there under the basic material. See if I choose this base material. I don't think it has all those same settings. So I think these do have some special extra settings within them. So I'll go ahead and, yeah, let's do like a pink metallic. Great. All right, and then same thing, you could change your lighting if you want, and I'll just go ahead and render it, and done. All right, so that's how you can super quick. You can still go ahead and do, I guess the only other thing I did was I added a little drop shadow, and that was I selected everything, and I went to the effect. Let's see, where was that? Stylize, drop shadow. I think we did the drop shadow in our last project. So if you want to add a little drop shadow in addition, you're welcome to. That's not required. And this is actually outside of the 3D menu. They do have a shadow thing within the 3D menu, but I don't know. I felt like it was crashing my computer. So I think this is a nice, easy one. I'm actually going to take preview off. Oh, no, I'll leave it on and say, okay, I'm happy with that. I'll go ahead and save it, and I'll export it. Don't forget when you're exporting, do you see how I have all this stuff outside of my artboard? Let me move this one over. I have all this stuff outside of my artboard. When you go to export, make sure you say File, Export, Export As, and when you export it, this little checkbox here, it says Use Artboard, then it will limit your export to just this, right? It will just give you what's on your artboard. And if you ever want to see, that's the view, trim view. Okay, so I have everything here versus what am I actually going to see when I export and click Use Artboard, View, Trim View. Okay, alrighty.